Right then, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, welcome one and all. My name is Paul, I'm also called Knickknack. I'm the brains behind Knickknack's Daily Teaser, which is a set of daily brain teaser quizzes. I also watch movies occasionally. You possibly don't want to know about The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, nor do you want to know about the 2020 cut of Hellraiser, but I will try and put my movies playlist and a link to my teasers in the little eye in the corner there, if I remember. I also watch TV shows as well, and ones I feel are worth the effort discussing, I will discuss on my blog, Knickknacks Old Peculiar, and here on my YouTube channel, Mr. Cuddy2977. Please feel free to hit like, hit share, and hit subscribe whenever you come across my stuff. It all helps grow the channel, basically. At any rate, last night was Friday the 18th of November. Tonight is Saturday the 19th, and I'm going to tell you about the episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds I saw last night. It's episode 9, All Those Who Wander. Episode 9, All Those Who Wander, opens with the usual summary of earlier episodes, reminding us of how well Cadet Uhura, Celia Rose Gooding, and Chief Engineer Hemmer, Bruce Horak, get on, and how Nurse Chapel and Lieutenant Spock have unresolved issues. The scene shifts to show us Cadet Uhura filling in what's scheduled to be one of her last personal log entries in her training rotation on the USS Enterprise. She's due to head back to Earth once the Enterprise has made a delivery to Space Station K7. Before that, she's due a final dinner with the Captain Pike himself, alongside Cadet Shear, a fellow cadet, and a newly promoted Lieutenant Duke, played by Ted Kellogg. With dinner out of the way and the cleaning up needing doing, Captain Pike, Anson Mount, meets with his senior officers. Number 1, Lieutenant Dr. Mbenga, Lieutenant Noonien Singh, and of course Lieutenant Spock, Rebecca Romaine, Babs Olson Moken, Christina Chong, and Ethan Peck, to discuss a Priority 1 mission that Starfleet Command has just added to their mission. It seems the USS Peregrine has set off its distress signal after exploring near Valio Beta 5. Then, halfway through transmission, its signal has been lost as the planet's atmosphere blocks transmissions. The planet's atmosphere also prevents beaming a landing party down, so Captain Pike decides to take Mbenga and Spock alongside Chia, Duke, Uhura, and Lieutenant Sam Kirk, Dan Janot, to see what they can see. The captain wants to take the cadets out on one last jaunt on what should be, outside of the communications blackout caused by the planet's atmosphere, a relatively easy mission. Relatively easy can be such a deceptive term. Now, what, I hear you ask, did you, Paul, make of All Those Who Wander? Was it good? Was it bad? Was it different? Well made? Badly done? Did it, I hear you ask, remind me of anything else? There's a distinct possibility it did, although there's possibly several things at this point. All Those Who Wander's basic plot is simple enough to explain, even if I possibly aren't the best at explaining things. The landing party, led by Captain Pike, is stuck on a crash ship on a dark, gloomy planet and has to 1. Get a signal to Enterprise, 2. Rescue the remaining Peregrine crew, and C. Avoid being eaten by hideous blood-sucking parasitic monsters, the drip slime, which is possibly simplifying it a little bit too much. Truth be told, and this should answer your remind me of anything else question, I watched All Those Who Wander thinking it reminded me of a very specific film or film franchise, Alien, in other words, the Alien franchise as well. It's set on a dark, gloomy planet where radio contact is extremely hard, and you're watching various crew members getting picked off by parasitic carnivorous aliens that hatch and explode out of living beings. There was also the fact that the basic plot line reminded me of many Doctor Who stories. Tomb of the Cybermen, the Moonbase, Horror of Fang Rock, more recently Midnight and the Saranga Conundrum. To the point, reminded me of a type of stories that Doctor Who fans, at least, refer to as a BUS, a Base Under Siege story. Arguably, All Those Who Wander has its similarity to Alien and parts of Aliens. The golden hatchlings, like the xenomorphs, eat their way out of an intelligent living being and mature rapidly. It's quite grim to watch. The Peregrine has been photographed when we first see it in a way that's similar to the original alien ship in Alien. It's quite a distinctively, it's at an angle and it's gloomily lit and there's lots of lightning going off everywhere. It's very, very recognisable if you've seen that original Alien film. Lon Noonien Singh is this story's equivalent to Ripley in Alien. She, as Ripley in Aliens, is able to warn and inform her team about the dangers that are coming. Hemmer's another one to mention here. Like Ripley in Alien 3, Hemmer sacrifices himself at the end of the episode in order to stop further danger to the crew. There are similarities, quite a few of them, I think, in terms of tone and grimness. It's very much of a piece, I think. So yes, there are similarities. But I feel that much as with Liftless Where Suffering Cannot Reach, and my review of that is floating around somewhere, that it's not necessarily completely intentional. They've just given it a certain alien sheen to what is a common trope. All Those Who Wander also has differences as well. The Starfleet crew that are investigating the alien ship or the crash site are explorers rather than the Marines in Aliens or the tugboat operators, oil workers in Alien, the original film. Spock, like Ash, is a logical being and finds the creatures logical and admirable, but he has an emotional side that Ash, the android, doesn't. It's one of the few episodes, I should add, where we get to see Spock's emotional side, letting out his human side, his angry side, an angry human side that android Ash doesn't have. Beautiful bit of work by Ian Holm there, I should add. It really was. We also get the sense that the crew of the Peregrine, unlike the colonists in Aliens, went to their deaths willingly, if not happily, knowing this would be a way to prevent further deaths if the Gorn get off the planet. So we can say there's similarities, but that these are common ideas, and that there are differences as well. Hemmer's self-sacrifice, talking of common ideas, Hemmer's self-sacrifice can parallel Aslan's death in the Narnia Chronicles in the first book, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. It can be seen as a parallel to the Terminator's death in Terminator 2 Judgment Day. The Terminator, the Arnold Schwarzenegger character, jumps off a cliff and into a forge, I seem to recall, to melt himself down to prevent further harm. You can even, if you're that way inclined, you can even see it as paralleling Christianity's central story of the crucifixion. It's a sacrifice. It's a willing sacrifice. Lon's decision to move on, to leave the Enterprise at the end of this episode and try to find the family of the Peregrine's surviving crew, could come from any number of places, although I'm not too sure I can think of any off the top of my head, but it's her getting herself away from a bad situation, but also trying to do some good. It's another form of self-sacrifice, possibly. But that whole simple base under siege plot, it's common enough that we call it a base under siege. What we have to ask ourselves here is All Those Who Wander a good treatment of its basic Base Under Siege idea? Is the writing good? Is the performing good? Is it a well-made episode? Writer David Perez, I think, has done a job and a half, taking a basic idea, Base Under Siege, and giving it a very suitably Star Trek twist to an old trope. Granted, it's a dark, grim one that's reminiscent of something else, but sometimes you want to see that. You want to see that Star Trek version of that trope. Performances, yes, they are all round great, and I will have to give credit to both Christina Chong and Ethan Peck. They put in very watchable work in this episode. Is All Those Who Wander a good episode? Is it worth watching? Is it on a par with Lift Us Where Suffering Cannot Reach, the best episode of the series? Lift Us Where Suffering Cannot Reach is still just the best episode. But yes, All Those Who Wander is a very good, very watchable episode and will have you glued to your seat. All I can tell you right now is that I'm going to be watching episode 10, A Quality of Mercy, on Friday the 25th of November. I will have my written and video reviews up on the 26th of November, the Saturday, and I will say this now, the 10th episode, the last of this first series of Star Trek Strange New World, it better be good. It's got a lot to follow on from. I'll see you next week. Till then, live long and prosper.